So this conversation is now all the rave on the internet. There's this conversation surrounding women complaining that men are no longer approaching them in public, and Lord have mercy, the amount of people that just feed into negativity, clickbait, engagement bait, rage bait, like y'all are mentally ill. So there have been reports that men nowadays, half of young men are afraid to approach a woman in fear of being posted online as a creep. And then there's these clips of women complaining about men not approaching them. Let's start from the top with the videos of women complaining about men not approaching them.
Tell me why every day I go out looking adorable, tits bouncing, skin glistening, and yet nobody ever hits on me or approaches me. Ever. Oh my god, like please. I'll take a fucking construction worker catcall at this point. Please.
Bro, this right here is engagement bait. It's rage bait. This is all of this is lies. All of this is cap, okay? And to see that so many YouTubers are like running bank off of this clip and another clip is insane. This chick is clearly lying. She is lying. If you believe she has not been approached by a man ever, you are delusional. If you believe she's not actively being approached by men, you are delusional. She is showing as much skin as humanly possible. I'm willing to bet she has either been approached that day or the day before or whatever. And just look at her mannerisms in the video. Like, she's obviously acting a damn fool. None of this is serious, but this has kicked up a storm on like Manosphere YouTube. Let's watch the next clip.
I better pay attention to me tonight. I'm so fucking sick of this shit.
Oh my god.
Touch a boob, buy a drink. I mean, it's like very fucking simple. I better pay.
So this chick in particular, from what I've been told, apparently she has an OF. She's like a social media model. Cool, no big deal. These posts from these two ladies, especially the lady in the orange right here, those two posts are engagement posts. Maybe even possibly rage bait posts. And it has spiraled into Paul Joseph Watson and Carl Benjamin, otherwise known as Sargon of Akkad, making videos about this. And men are actually entertaining these clips as though they're serious. This is a conversation that's happening right now in which some men somehow actually believe these clips are reflective of real life. If you think these chicks are walking out in public in any highly populated area dressed like this and no one's walking up to them and trying to talk to them, you are literally born last night. All of these clips are engagement bait clips, they're rage bait clips, and frankly, we as young men have to realize that like a lot of these Manosphere YouTubers deadass want to feed us this negativity to keep us in a cycle of anger, paranoia, fear, all of that, so we can continue consuming fucking slop about women that we'll never meet in person, posting random shit. I'm gonna tell it to you like this, fellas. Most of the stuff you guys are seeing on social media, it's mental illness. It's just crazy people posting. You know, when I was a kid, I'm not that old, I'm 24, but when I was a kid, most people didn't have a platform. If you had a platform, you were the president, you were an athlete, but back then athletes didn't really share their opinions. You were a musician, but back then musicians didn't share their opinions. You were a late night talk show host, something like that. In today's day and age, now the average psych ward patient can grab a phone, click a few buttons, and pollute the world with their insanity within seconds. Within seconds. Here's what I'm gonna say. For the young men watching this shit, discernment is key. These people are one, they're engagement baiting, they're rage baiting, mostly engagement baiting. They're trying to get men to click on their links, to go to their pages, so on and so forth. I'm not mad at it. However, it's important to realize that these mostly harmless, meaningless clips are being repackaged and repurposed to make you angry and to re-solidify rage and anger and paranoia and anxiety. It is rage bait. And I see a lot of men not realizing that a lot of these manosphere content creators are selling you rage bait to keep you in a cycle of negativity. Then I see guys in the comment section saying stuff like, well, women, you said you'd pick the bear over the man. Now look at what's happening. Now you're getting your comeuppance. Now we're not approaching you anymore. Huddle up. Young men, huddle up. You're not the bad guy. Young men, you are not the bad guy. You're not evil. You're not a horrible person. You are not the bad guy. But let me bring you in and break down some game. Most of these chicks making these posts about the bear and the man and shit, they don't mean you. They mean men. As in, they're thinking of a man who they don't feel safe around, who they don't feel like they can trust, a random guy who could want to do anything in a random forest with no witnesses. Then the other choice is a bear. Most of these women, about like half or like over half, have been assaulted, harassed, raped, the list goes on and on. So when they're saying they'd pick the bear over the man, they're not saying the bear has more value over the, well, some of them, but what they're saying is they're trying to bring attention to the issues they deal with as women in terms of assault, harassment, so on and so forth. If you don't think it's real, go outside and touch grass. It's very real. What I want y'all to understand is these manosphere content creators are trying to make as much money off of your confusion as humanly possible, okay? When you see these women on social media posting like stuff like, you know, I would pick the bear because men suck or men this or men that, keep in mind, discernment is key. Again, young man, you're not the bad guy. But huddle up, I'm about to tell you something. Anybody can grab a phone and post any kind of insanity within seconds. Do not let this skew your perception of what the average woman is like in real life. The average person, male or female, is not going to post content of them attacking the opposite sex like a lunatic. Do not think these posts, the more radical bear versus man posts, like the normal ones I've never cared for. I don't pay attention to the crazy ones, but some of y'all seem to pay attention to those more crazy man versus bear posts. Believe me when I tell you, they're not talking about you. They're not talking about you. In fact, chances are, odds are, numbers are, that if they had seen you walking down the forest, they might say, oh shit, he's kind of cute. You know, might want to talk to him. They might want to talk to you. It's possible. Maybe. Who's to say? Who's to say? You got to keep a level head. Because there are crazy people on this internet who will post insanity, toxicity, misandry, misogyny, and what is Alex? There's a war going on for your mind. Like there's a war going on for your mind. Okay, there's crazy people who hate men. There's crazy people who hate women, and unfortunately, both sides do not have our best interests at heart. That much I can assure you. That much I can most certainly assure you. You have to have the discernment, okay? What I try to do, honestly, when looking at situations like this, the man versus bear stuff and all this other stuff, you know what I do? I try to honestly look at it from the other person's perspective, because oftentimes when you do that, you begin to realize, oh, imagine if you were a woman, you probably would not feel as comfortable walking around as if you were a man. Right? If you think about things from a woman's perspective, you can actually kind of understand, given all the statistics, all the numbers, all the data, you can understand why they'd post something saying like, hey, I picked the bear over the man. It's not personal. It's not meant to be a war on men. And honestly, a lot of it is just them trying to draw attention to a serious issue, but doing it in a way that's probably not very effective. Let's just keep it. It's really not that effective, but I'm the kind of person to where I try to look at things for what they are rather than how they come across. So for me, it doesn't bother me. But for those of you who are bothered by the, you know, man versus bear stuff, trust me when I tell you, it's not worth you being bent out of shape about. They're not talking about you specifically. And frankly, like, it's just not worth you being upset about. Now, reports are saying that half of young men, Gen Z, Zoomers, aged 18 through 25, have never asked a woman out on a date or for her number in person. Honestly, this is an interesting statistic. I didn't know it was this bad. The idea that there's half of us out there that have never tried is crazy. That is crazy. That's interesting. You know, honestly, like I've seen guys explaining why this is in like the comment section, like, oh, you know, the Me Too movement, or, You know, we don't want to be labeled a creep and somebody records us and posts us on social media. And what I've come to realize is like, social anxiety is at an all-time high. And I know because I've developed a lot of it in recent years and I'm trying to really get rid of it. But social anxiety is ripping a hole into this nation. Like, the fact that half of young men are terrified of like a 1% scenario taking place is crazy. Now, to be fair, if that 1% scenario were to take place, it would kind of be apocalyptic. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like what I really don't like about this topic of conversation and how it's going is the people making videos about this particular statistic and the women complaining about men not approaching them is it's all just women this, women this, women this, women that. And what a lot of young men come away thinking is like, women are like this hive mind species that would pick the bear over the man and hate men. And why won't men approach us? But also men are creeps. And it's like, you have to realize the world's a big ass place and most people are not tuned into this internet fuckery. Frankly, most people are not tuned into this mayhem that goes on this internet. The mental illness mayhem, mania that goes on here, most people are not with that. Most people are not into that, okay? So you have to realize and understand, like, in the same way that women see all this red pill manosphere stuff going on and still talk to men and still date, you got to do the same thing. And that's not to say that manosphere content and like radical feminist anti-male misandrous content are like on the same level of like fuel and power. But the point still remains. You got to decide as a young man, like, how badly do you want a relationship? Deadass. And this isn't to say like young men are the problem or young men this or young men that, but I'll say one thing most red pill manosphere content creators will tell you. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is coming to help you. And the fucked up thing about it is most of the content creators who claim to be trying to help us are actually sabotaging us. The answer to helping young men figure out what to do, it's not demonizing women, parroting ideas that like instill, you know, paranoia and fear and anxiety into young men. The solution is to try to figure out what's causing this and to actually offer some kind of advice. The best piece of advice I can give as it pertains to this is, honestly, finding out whether or not somebody reciprocates your interest is really, really easy. This is true for both genders. Men don't realize it's true for both genders because we don't get approached often, so we don't know how we would respond if we were approached by somebody we didn't like. The way that I would recommend you do it is honestly, walk up to the person, you know, strike up a conversation, whether it's about something that's happening around you or just ask them if you can talk to them, introduce yourself, so on and so forth. Questions are the easiest way to figure it out. If you say, hey, what's your name? And she says, oh, my name's Elizabeth. Let's say your name's Bartholomew. And she doesn't ask Bartholomew what his name is. She just says, my name's Elizabeth. Then you say, oh, like, what's up, Elizabeth? Like, what are you up to? You know what I'm saying? Well, like, what's going on? Like, what are y'all doing? Like, maybe it's at the bar, right? She'll sit there and say, oh, we're doing this, we're doing that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But she won't ask you what you're doing. She's just going to leave that completely wide open. Why? She doesn't like you. She doesn't want to talk to you. These are clear cues. Clear as in when you know to look for them, they're clear. These are clear cues. She ain't fucking with you. She ain't vibing with you. Okay? This is the area in the conversation in which you want to make an exit. But let's say you ask her name and she says, my name's Elizabeth. What's your name? Oh, my name's Bartholomew. And then you say, oh, like, Elizabeth, what are y'all here doing? Like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, we're doing this. What about you? What do you got going on? Da-da-da-da-da. She's striking up conversation. She's pushing conversation. She's bringing up topics. Before you could even say something, she's saying something. This is a 60 to 70% chance sign of interest. Not guaranteed. Some people are gregarious. Some people like to socialize. And they'll talk to you even though they don't really like you. It happens. It's not guaranteed, but your odds go up if they're entertaining conversation. This right here, if most people just broke, like the red pillars don't break this shit down, unfortunately. This right here will save you a lot of anxiety and fear. If you are, and here, like if it's somebody you see at a place that you consistently go to, let's say it's a restaurant, let's say she's like a bartender or she's behind the counter or whatever, or let's say it's the gym or at work or whatever, You know, the same thing applies, right? You don't like go directly for the kill. Hey, I thought you were cute. Could I get your number? L's every single time. L's, L's, L's. 0 points per season. Bench player. No badges. Like, you're fucked. But if you know, make it more broad, more vague, introduce yourself, strike up conversation, ask questions. If there's interest there, the inquiries will be reciprocated. She will ask you. She'll ask you stuff that you didn't ask her. She'll push the conversation in other directions. She'll bring certain things up. She might start yapping your fucking head off, which has happened to me. Like, this will happen, okay? Honest to God, this is the best piece of advice I can give on how to basically avoid anxiety-inducing interactions with women. And to be fair, you know, you might talk to a chick and you might be super nice, super smooth. You might keep it P. You might say all the right things, and you won't make it too obvious and too weird and whatever. And she might still say, ain't much you can do about that. There's really not much you can do about that. And unfortunately, like, as young men, we kind of have to realize that, like, no one is coming to save you. The manosphere YouTubers are not coming to save you. The misandrous radical feminists are most certainly not coming to save your ass. It's all on you. And you are unfortunately going to have to come to terms with the fact that not all of us are going to make it. Some of us are going to continue down the spiral of consuming negative content about women, negative content about life, and are going to be, you know, anxiety ridden, and terrified, and terrified and absolutely afraid to interact with anybody, and especially women. If you really want to date, if you really want to get out there and have these experiences and talk to people and date and so on and so forth, you honestly have to just get up and go. Like, you just have to. And it's not always easy. And you might not be ready at this given moment in time. But the red pill content, this constant slop of like paranoia inducing content, anxiety inducing content, and this false kind of like promotion of like women are getting what they deserve. Men are no longer approaching them. Believe me when I tell you, G. Ain't shit changed on this earth. And nothing is brand new under the sun. If you think that men aren't approaching women in today's day and age, you are wrong. I dare you to go to any bar, any club, any high density area where people are partying and drinking and eating and all of that. I guarantee you will see men walking with girlfriends, men approaching women they're not dating, trying to get their attention, trying to talk to them. I can assure you will see humans carrying on as humans do. I promise you that. I promise you that. Nothing has changed. Here's a cold reality, and I'm not trying to like attack young men, because the reality is you're not the villain. You're not a bad person. You're not a piece of shit. You're not these things that, like, you know, radical crazy people on the internet are telling you are. But what I'm trying to tell you is that, you know, unfortunately, you're going to have to do this shit alone. You're going to have to realize or recognize the fact that nobody is coming to help you at all. Okay? You're going to have to realize where your weaknesses are, where you're falling behind. And you got to realize and understand that this content they're putting out is simply meant to soothe your ego with a false sense of superiority. Oh, these women are getting what they deserve. Which women? The cold hard truth, fellas, is the kind of men that aren't approaching are the kind of men who women aren't checking for. I'm going to keep it 100. The kind of men that are not approaching are the kind of men that women are just not checking for, G. Maybe 1% of those men are like tall, good-looking men who get approached by women. But I'm telling you, fellas, half of Gen Z men aren't approaching. Those men, women ain't even checking for. They don't even care. They don't give a fuck that these guys aren't approaching. They don't care. Physical attractiveness is not the only thing that brings someone in. It's also personality. It's also your disposition. If you're not the kind of guy who can boldly step up to someone and say, hey, my name's Bartholomew, nice to meet you. You know what I'm saying? If you can't do that, these chicks oftentimes don't even want to talk to you unless you're just that beautiful that your anxiety means nothing to them. You're so tall and so handsome. But in most cases, that's just not how it is. So what I'm telling you is that these manosphere channels and shit want to have you convinced that, you know, women are having their comeuppance and women are having their wake-up call. Fellas, I can promise you the world is moving on without you if you aren't participating in it. If you're not taking part in it, the world is moving on without you. I promise you. Do not let right-wing content creators and manosphere content creators terrify you out of what could be your future. You've got to get out there. You got to find a haircut that compliments you. You got to find a beard look that compliments you. You got to get in the gym. You got to work out. Getting a good physique puts you in, like, you're already ahead of most guys by a country mile at that point. Not that many guys are in the gym. Don't let gym culture fool you. Most people are not consistent. Most people are not about that life. If you can build a good physique over the course of about 2 to 3 years, you're ahead by a country mile. Clean up your wardrobe. Find a style that complements you, that's presentable. Okay? At some point, you're going to have to put the fucking anime t-shirts and cargo pants aside, or at least find a way to make them look cool. Or find a way to make those fits look cool and go to the kinds of environments where those kinds of girls are, right? Anime conventions, anime clubs. I don't know. I don't really know, like, how people of that kind of, like, club, that kind of, like, culture socialize. But go to those areas, put yourself out there, interact with those kinds of people, and you'll find someone who, is like, yo, like, you like fucking whatever the fuck, I like that too. Boom. You gotta find a way to present yourself in an attractive way. Put yourself out there. You gotta go outside, whether it's to the gym or wherever. You gotta go outside. You gotta talk to people. You gotta make friends. Believe me when I tell you, you have to do these things. Believe me. Do not let limiting thoughts stop you from having what you could have in life, because unfortunately, manosphere content is designed to keep you in a cycle of rage, of anxiety, of paranoia, of fear. Meanwhile, there are guys out there who aren't letting any of that scare them. They don't care. They're not afraid. And they're going to go out and they're going to talk to people and they're going to get rejected. They're going to be accepted on rare occasion. Those guys are going to walk away eventually with somebody. That could be you. So what I would say in response to like this big thing going on now of like, oh, women are no longer being approached by men and women are having their comeuppance and all this shit. No, they're not. No, they're not. Number one, most women are not participating in misandrist content on social media because most women are not misandrous. Number two, women are doing just fine, dude. In terms of being approached, they're doing just fine. Men approach everywhere. They do it all the time. Okay? Believe me when I tell you, the world is continuing to spin regardless of whether or not you take part in it. That's fucked, but it's true. I wish there would be some kind of deity to come down from the sky and grab your hand and transform you. But no, there's not. You have to want this shit. You gotta want it. You gotta want it more than the majority of men. You gotta want this shit more than all the other guys out there. You gotta be more dedicated, more consistent, more all of that. And it might feel unfair. You might say, well, why do I have to do this and why do I have to do that? If you think about it, the kind of girl you're attracted to, G, she's probably watching her fucking calories. She's probably counting her calories. She's probably in the gym. She's probably, fixed up her wardrobe to be presentable and to be attractive. She's got good hygiene. She's got good jewelry. She has already covered all of these bases. So by the time you see her, you are subconsciously assuming this is just how she is. When in reality, bro, people are prettying themselves up. They're going to the gym. They're eating clean. They're getting in shape. They're cleaning up their wardrobe. They're doing everything in their power to present themselves in an attractive way. People don't come out of the womb dripped out in a nice outfit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people aren't born, not Balenciaga, but like, you get what I'm trying to say. Like, realize and understand, bro, you're not different. You're not in the sense of a negative. You're not lower than anybody. You're not anyone's inferior. No one is better than you. If you want this shit and you're hungry enough to go for it, then eventually you're going to get it. That's just the reality of it. But realize and recognize and understand there is a concerted effort by red pill manosphere right-wing content creators to have you in this loop of thinking, we finally got them. The women are finally having their comeuppance. False. This is false. This is insanely false. None of that is true. And if you don't pay attention to how the world really is, you'll be sitting there thinking women are finally, going through some kind of fucking, dick drought. And now they're panicking and begging the men to come back outside. I promise you they're not, dog. I promise you they're not. For every 5 of y'all who are quitting, there's 5 guys who aren't quitting. Real talk. They're saying half of us ain't doing shit. They're saying half of us aren't even trying, dog. Which half do you want to be? It's not fair. I wish there was some kind of fucking deity that would come down and fucking grant you the strength, insight, consistency, dedication, discipline, warrior spirit. But dog, it all has to come in from in here. Unfortunately, like, I fucking wish I could fucking unlock some perk tree and the perk point in the perk tree and goddamn have amplifiers and all of that. Bro, this is life, dog. You got to go for it. So do not be deceived. There is no comeuppance. There is no revenge moment. And frankly, like, this manosphere content will have you in a vagina drought, in a just complete pussy drought. Like, do not allow these guys to fucking have you thinking the whole world is against you. Everyone's conspiring against you. People are after you. No, do not let them convince you of that. Realize and understand that by a slew of choices, you can be in a completely different place next year. It's further than where you are now. It's further than where you are now. It's further along than where you are now. And if it helps, there's always someone who's not consistent. There's always someone who doesn't want it as bad as you. There's always someone who just won't chase as hard as you, who won't grind as hard as you, who won't work as hard as you. Let that motivate you. So whenever you feel like you want to quit or you don't want to continue, dog, your spot is already there. You're just not exactly in that position just yet. There's 5 other guys, right? Out of 10, the other half ain't even trying. So there's 5 open spaces for you to occupy. Not bad spaces, but spaces nonetheless. There's 5 open spaces that would have been occupied if more of us wanted it as bad as we should. So, you know, this shit of like men are no longer approaching women and stuff, it's a fucking lie. These chicks are promoting their content. These red pill manosphere content creators are trying to compel you to believe that somehow or another, you know, there's this kind of fucking like comeuppance for women. And believe me when I tell you, it's just not, it's not true. It's not true. It's just not true.